Ministries, departments and agencies are on the hot seat as standing committees grill them on their proposed spending plan. Chief of the Army Staff warns on their consequences if adequate funding is not provided to fight insecurity. Hopes of improved electricity dims as litigation stalls work on the Mambila hydropower project. This is the Hallowed Chambers. I am Tijesu Adeoye. The National Assembly continues to host chief executives of government agencies as the curtain gradually falls on the budget defense exercise. At separate sessions with the two committees on Army, Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff wants the Parliament to prevail on the federal government to properly and adequately provide the needed funding to aid the fight against terrorism.
Sir, in preparing for year 2022 budget, Nigerian Army proposed a sum of 710 billion only. However, the budget ceiling of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning reduced our proposed sum of 710 billion to a total sum of 579 billion only. This reduction would impede the capacity and tempo of Nigerian Army in carrying out its constitutional duties, particularly the ongoing war against Boko Haram terrorists and other criminalities across the country. That National Assembly should prevail on the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to exempt Nigerian Army from the current budget ceiling or envelope allocation system.
Looking at the budget vis-a-vis what is being allocated to the Nigerian Army, we find this under the circumstances we are operating grossly inadequate. And we asked the Chief of Army Staff what is happening. And he made mention of the fact that the Nigerian Army have to operate within envelopes. And the committee is in agreement that you can't be facing security challenges and putting the security agencies in envelope while the problem is not already in the envelope. Or you can't say this budget of the MDA security agencies will have a ceiling. After all, the problems that we have is already above the ceiling. So you need to actually give the military what they need, because there is no price tag for peace. I believe Nigerians will pay any price, including asking them to put in more in order to have peace in this country. And this is what the committee will do. Fortunately, we have a new member in the committee that represents the leadership, and he is here with us, and we told him that the issue of putting the security agencies, not only the army, in an envelope under the circumstances we are operating does not arise. So we are going to look at their requirements and treat the budget accordingly.
Parliament is beaming its searchlight on the Delta Steel Company, now Premium Steel and Mines Limited, as it opens investigations into the decay in the privatized company. My colleague Joke Adisa was at the investigative hearing.
The Obasanjo administration privatized the nation's steel sector following the absence of appreciable return on over $10 billion investment in 20 years. One of them was the Delta Steel Company. The story of Delta Steel Company in Alaja is undoubtedly one that leaves a sour taste in the mouth. Inaugurated in 1982, it was to usher Nigeria into the League of Steel-Producing Countries, an inevitable stepping stone to industrialization, with a projection to employ more than 40,000 workers. But production stopped in 1997, and it was resold to Premium Steel and Mines Limited in 2015. Lawmakers are now probing the collapse of the company. The Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, Bureau of Public Enterprise, Corporate Affairs Commission, and AMCON took turn to explain their roles.
For us at the ministry, when all the assets were transferred to BP, we have little or nothing. We were not carried along, so we may not have much to say.
BP was not involved, and we are not actually happy with what is happening. The Premium Steel are not into production, rather they are into different businesses which is not known to BP.
Anger and frustration took over as members of the host community accused the management of the moribund state company of insensitivity. They want its privatization revoked as representatives of the company staged a walkout.
We've arrested the company, their staffs on several occasions for activities of, moving different items from the yard to unknown destinations. Sometimes they will say they sell. The federal government gave them the right to sell everything they have there, including the cables that are used for electricity.
Everybody is embarrassed, and they cannot walk out of the parliament because this committee is an offshoot of the parliament, and we cannot tolerate it by any standard.
The managing director of the steel company is to appear before the lawmakers on Wednesday, without which a warrant of arrest may be issued to cause his appearance.
Lawmakers are angry that some MDAs ignore invitations to render their accounts of their stewardship. The House Committee on Finance insists no act establishing any of the agencies is superior to the constitution of the land.
This agency of government has refused consistently to present their budget before the National Assembly. We have spoken to the MD. We've advised him that it's purely against the Constitution. We have spoken to the Minister of Finance that is purely against the Constitution. And the Minister of Finance was never in support of that. That the agency must present their budget. Unfortunately, the agency is relying on its law, which says that his board shall approve his budget. And I have told the agency that the law, whether made in error or even rightly, is not superior to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are using this opportunity to inform the agency. If they fail to present their budget, there will be no appropriation for that agency this year, 2022. We will make it clear, and I'm making it very clear. Akata General is here. We will write you. There will be no disbursement of funds from any of our federation account to that agency. That is the opinion of the committee.
Legislators are proposing drug tests for different categories of Nigerians. They also want an end to the option of fine for convicted drug barons. This is in a bid to curb the increasing wave of abuse of drugs and narcotics among the citizens, particularly the youths. At a budget defense meeting, NDLEA says the effect of inadequate funding for the organization is grave.
Committee Chairman Francis AGBO hinted of an amendment to the law creating the Police Trust Fund to make NDLEA a beneficiary.
The most commonly abused drug in Nigeria is cannabis. If there is so much killings in the country now, if there is banditry, terrorism, and whatever, in our current state, I tell you, if we legitimize cannabis, the madness will quadruple.
The chairman of NDLEA, Buba Marwa, gives a projection of 38.15 billion naira for 2022. To buttress his argument for increased funding, he gives a comparison of the agency's overhead cost with similar bodies. In the table, with a staff strength of 2,800, EFCC has an annual overhead bill of 3.6 billion naira. ICPC, with 800 workers, spends 1.81 billion naira on overhead. NFIU has 900 million naira overhead for 500 staff, while NDLEA, with a staff strength of 10,000, has 398.9 million naira.
There's no business that is awash with funds anywhere in this world from unproductive efforts like the drug business. There are billions. And so when you don't fund the agency, the personnel have temptation. They are tempted by these barons.
Of an additional 40 megawatt to the national grid hangs in the balance. This is because of a litigation against the government in faraway Paris. The Minister of Power disclosed this when he led the management team of the ministry to a budget defense session before the House Committee on Power.
Someone has taken us to court to claim that he was the initial contractor for Mambila. And the Chinese who are supposed to bring money for the construction withheld their money because of that arbitration.
The issue of Siemens is really bothering us in the National Assembly because there is no single communication from anybody.
My guest on the program this week is Abia Lawmaker Uzoma Nkem Abonta. He represents Ukwa East and West Federal Constituency of Abia State. The ranking member of the House speaks on the state of the nation. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
We start off with an assessment of the 9th House. What for you has been the achievement in the past 28 months?
Well, the 9th Assembly, like other assemblies in Nigeria, got its own challenges, and I can also say that they also made some remarkable achievements in spite of the numerous challenges and shortcomings. In this present assembly, I can say that investigation and uncovering of a lot of things, the House had been able to uncover a lot of loopholes through very thorough oversight functions. Part of the challenges could be carrying out fully those reports and having them executed. You can see we were told, or we witnessed what we called executive parliamentary collaboration. Actually and ideally, it's not proper for any parliament and executive to be in a loggerhead or begin to quarrel. It's also an aberration for one to be somehow subservient, because we must be independent. On the area of discovery, I think that Assembly did a lot. In the area of enforcing those, I don't think we've fared well. We ought to be able to, while adhering to politics or political sentiments or party sentiments, also play national interest very, very well. So I think we should step up national interest over and above party sentiments and politics. We don't have much more time now left. We've done 2 years plus, so we should be able to use the remaining months or years to assert firmly more of our legislative independence and move on.
You had a robust outing in the 8th Assembly, but it seems you have gone back into your shell.
Oh, you're right. You observed well. I had a very robust outing in the 8th Assembly because the platform existed and the space existed. In the 9th Assembly, I also not adjudge myself as entering my shelf, but my productivity somehow reduced. Yes, I agree. It came down. You can also take that from the various challenges, ranging from insecurity, ranging from the other problems or the other. It affected everybody. I was also affected. Of course, COVID-19 came in, and there's also slowed down everybody, including me. You can see that we're also picking up now. We're picking up. I agree with you. But nevertheless, in spite of these challenges I also mentioned now, we are also trying to live up to expectation. We will increase our robust parliamentary debates. We will. And also we went into what I may call investigative legislative works and so on, to be thorough, to do the fireworks in a proper nature. And do not forget too, I still do opposition. So I am also doing that within the midst of the majority party. But what I do is also constructive opposition, not just because I want to do party sentiment. No, let Nigerians enjoy the benefit of legislative interventions in things we do.
Many Nigerians are shocked that the National Assembly's budget has been jacked up to about 170 million naira in the 2022 spending plan at a time hunger pervades the country.
That is what I told you, that in terms of investigation and oversight, the United States had uncovered, had made allusions and pointed to a lot of things. Yeah, that's true, but to the finishing, to the end, is what I said we need to fine-tune and step up. And we should not look at more of party sentiments. We should look at the national sentiment in carrying this out. So you are right if you said we did a lot of investigative activities and raised a lot of motions, but enforcing the resolution of such motions is the area we have some challenges.
Talking about the many activities of the parliament, we see many investigative exercises with little or nothing to show for them.
Well, I do not agree with the assertion that legislators are overpaid or being paid too much. Even if you look at the comparative or superlative comparison, you will not find that being seen. The total budget you are saying now being jacked up, I do not think it's up to 3% of the total budget of Nigeria. When you talk about National Assembly, you just look at senators and rep members. I do not think so. We run three-tier government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. What is the percentage of that of judiciary? What is the percentage of that of National Assembly? Even the executive, what is the percentage of what they call white service votes? Can you compare the white service vote and the total National Assembly budget? White service vote, I presume, should be the running cost of Mr. President. Now, if you come to National Assembly, you have the Senate wing, you have the House of Reps, you have the management, you have the NILs, and all whatnot. So these are various heads, and with chains of people to maintain. When people talk about National Assembly, they will begin to put 360 and 109 together. No. The management staff, have you found out their number and their emolument? Have you thought about the National Assembly Service Commission? That's a full commission. They're all there. So all of them share from this budget you are talking about. For crying out loud sake, that is one third of the government, the three-tier government. And this budget you are talking about now is not up to 3% of the total budget.
But the argument remains that Nigeria's National Assembly is one of the highest paid
in Africa. Now, I do not, except you give me data to justify what you're saying, but do not also take the pay of legislators in isolation. At times, people now look at the running cost of legislators and think it is their emolument. It is not so. I will try to break it down for you. For example, a lawmaker earns money which is what he should take home. A lawmaker, office of a lawmaker, is also giving some money as running cost. I'll give you an example. A minister earns salary. A minister is also giving running cost to run the office of the minister. That's a different thing. Even directors have running cost to run the directorate. Example, a minister will attend various meetings, will attend several functions, will pay flights to and fro to wherever he's going to. Is he going to pay that from his salary? No, certainly not. So he runs it. So a legislator will also go out for oversight functions, will pay for his flight, will pay for hotels, will do all this. It's required to go back home to do constituency oversight, constituency meetings and all whatnot. Should he do that from the salary paid him to go eat? No. So why not separate the running cost from the salary? If you do that, you will see that Nigerian legislators are not even among the highly paid ones. So take away what you used to run. If I'm not a member representing my people, I won't be required to be going home regularly. And when you go home, you need to go with a legislative aid with you. So will I use my salary to buy these tickets to go home? You know, the question people should find out is the expenditure attached to that running cost. Is it justified, or is it being used for what is meant for? That is what you should think, not to begin to conjure and say they are overpaid. No, after we did what we called needs assessment, we found that legislators are underfunded. If you take a needs assessment, okay, let me give you some people always compare America and Nigeria, UK and Nigeria. How do they do the oversight functions? How do they function? You can see that the socioeconomic environment is also not same. You must put those things side by side before agreeing what you're doing. I'll give you an example. I wish they can also adopt that model here. In South Africa here, a legislator is being given a ticket coupon for their travels. So if you do not travel, they will know because you cannot. With that coupon, you just tear it and give to any flight available to your destination.
Will you then support the call for unicameral legislature?
Now, what is the merits of presidential and unicameral or whatever you call it? Some say we should even do a single house and not Senate and reps. But again, you cannot, no matter the amount spent to guarantee freedom, liberty, and democracy, you can't say it's much. Because you need to be free, you need to be democratic, you need to be able to exercise all that things. I do not think that the form of government we're running is a problem. It's the people running it.
Insecurity, economic challenges. Where lies the way out?
Well, I can only say pray for God to help Nigeria in our economic problem. You see, we must be able to introduce sound economic policies that will take us out of the woods. We must be able to also do a lot of our macro and micro financial and economic system. Right now, you can see even the developed world, COVID, set them back. So you can imagine us that have no defined policy, what and the effect of COVID. So it's a very, very serious issue. And I think that we should use what is known and what we have to see how we can come out. That's why I said we must seriously attack and work with agriculture. So that will take us out of the wood temporarily. And unfortunately, we're a mono economy, oil. And oil is not steady. It's up and down. And the prediction is that it could even get out of it entirely. So if we have such a precarious economic situation, then we should begin to do the needful now before it's too late.
How realistic is the 16 trillion naira 2022 appropriation bill?
I made allusion sometime that somebody who borrows money to eat is hungry, remains hungry. Because if you just satisfy yourself, then you're still hungry because you're going to pay that. It's not free lunch. So with our economy now as it is it possible to achieve that? What component of that? It's good to budget 100 trillion, but how will you match it? How will you fund it? And where your debt servicing is so high, is portending some problem. So we must be very thrifty and wisely in choosing what to do. Because we're watching, we can only say, may God help us and give us very sound economic ideas that we should also rate our needs. We should be able to look at what comes first. But again, infrastructural development must come. It should be there. Investments that could turn around must come. We should be able to balance things, liberalizing some areas and tightening some areas, taxing some areas, giving some areas so that our economy can boom.
Committees wrap up their interface with ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government ahead of resumption of plenary activities on Tuesday. We'll keep you posted on every move of legislators as they work towards passing the 2022 appropriation bill next month. That's our program for the week. You can watch the program again on TVC News YouTube channel. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share. Also follow me on Facebook, Instagram and all other social media platforms. My name is TVC News On. Thank you for watching.